Most people try to manifest the same way they were taught. Repeat affirmations, visualize, feel grateful, think positive, act as if, hold the vibration. And yet, even after doing all of this, their life barely changes. They say the words, they write the goals, they create the vision boards, they do the meditations, they do everything they're supposed to do. But when they look at their reality, it's painfully clear. They're still living the same life, still attracting the same experiences, still repeating the same emotional patterns, still struggling with the same money blocks, the same relationship fears, the same cycles they swore they'd break. And then the doubt begins. Am I doing something wrong? Why isn't this working for me? Why does manifestation work for others but not me? Is there something broken in me that I can't fix? You start to question the process. Then you question yourself. And eventually you lose faith, not just in manifestation, but in your own ability to change your life. But here's the truth most people never hear. Manifestation doesn't fail because you didn't visualize hard enough. It fails because the techniques you were taught never reached the part of you that actually creates your reality. Because manifestation doesn't come from your conscious mind. It doesn't come from the words you speak out loud. It doesn't come from forcing yourself to feel high vibes. Manifestation comes from the one place most people never learn to work with, your subconscious identity, the part of you that decides what you believe you deserve. And if your identity says, I'm not safe having more, I lose it if I get it, it never works out for me, people like me don't succeed, I don't trust myself with abundance, then no amount of affirmations can override that deeper truth. Most manifestation techniques fail because they try to paint a new life over an identity that hasn't changed. You're trying to speak a future into existence with a mind that's still owned by the past. And until you understand why the subconscious rejects the very things you're trying to attract, you will continue working hard at techniques that were never designed to work for you. But once you see the deeper mechanism, the hidden reason your life keeps snapping back to the same emotional baseline, everything suddenly makes sense. The frustration, the stagnation, the repeated failures, the almost there moments, the feeling of being blocked from your own future. They all point to one truth you were never taught. And when you understand that truth, manifestation stops feeling like a struggle and starts feeling like alignment. The real shift begins now. Most people are taught to manifest from the surface. Say the right words, think the right thoughts, hold the right vibration. But manifestation doesn't happen on the surface. It happens in the deeper layers of your mind, where your beliefs, fears, and emotional patterns have been shaping your reality long before you ever tried to change it. To understand why manifestation fails, you have to understand one truth. Your subconscious creates your reality, not your affirmations. Your conscious mind speaks the desire, but your subconscious sets the limit. And your subconscious doesn't respond to what you want. It responds to what you expect, to what feels familiar, to what it believes is possible for someone like you. You can say, I am wealthy 100 times a day, but if your subconscious still holds the identity of someone who struggles, someone who fears money, someone who feels unworthy, someone who expects loss instead of gain, then the affirmation doesn't reach the place where a manifestation actually happens. You are trying to install a new belief while the old one is still running the system. This is why you feel the internal conflict, the tension between the future you want and the self-image that won't allow it. The conscious mind says, I am ready for more. The subconscious says, more isn't safe, and safety wins every time. Your subconscious isn't trying to sabotage you. It's trying to protect you based on outdated emotional rules it learned years or decades ago. If abundance once felt dangerous, you will unconsciously push it away. If success once caused rejection, you will avoid rising too high. If receiving once made you feel guilty, you will limit what you allow in. If love once hurt, you will run from closeness even while craving it. The problem isn't the technique. It's the identity the technique never touches. Most manifestation advice focuses on the outcome, the thing you want. But the subconscious focuses on the identity, who you believe you are. That's why manifestation doesn't fail randomly. It fails predictably. Because the moment your desire exceeds your identity's comfort zone, your subconscious pulls you back into the emotional world it knows how to survive. Not because that world is good for you, but because it feels familiar. And until you understand this mechanism, you will keep trying technique after technique, wondering why none of them ever lead to lasting change. The answer is simple. You aren't manifesting from your desire. You're manifesting from your programming. But the moment you learn how to shift that programming at the identity level, your reality no longer mirrors your past. It begins to mirror your potential. And that shift is where real manifestation actually starts. There is a turning point in everyone's manifestation journey, a moment when frustration gives way to clarity, when you finally see the truth that was hiding beneath every failed technique. It's the realization that changes everything. You don't manifest what you want, you manifest what you are. Not who you pretend to be, not who you're trying to become, not who you write about in a journal, but the identity your subconscious has accepted as the safest version of you. This is why you can desperately want abundance and still attract struggle. Why you can visualize love and still feel unworthy of it. Why you can affirm confidence while still shrinking in every room you enter. Your subconscious looks at your desire and asks one question: does this match the person I believe myself to be? If the answer is no, it rejects the desire the same way a body rejects a foreign object. Not because it's wrong for you, but because it doesn't fit the identity your subconscious is built to protect. Identity always overrides intention, always. You can hold a vision with your mind, but if your identity contradicts it, your subconscious will pull you back into the story it knows how to survive. That's why change feels temporary. That's why breakthroughs don't last. That's why you rise and then fall back into the person you were trying to outgrow. It's not self-sabotage. It's self-preservation. Your subconscious would rather keep you safe in the familiar than allow you to succeed into the unknown. But here's the shift most people never make. Manifestation isn't about forcing a new life. It's about becoming a person for whom that life feels natural. A person who expects abundance not because they're trying to convince themselves, but because abundance aligns with who they are. A person who attracts opportunity not because they're repeating mantras, but because opportunity matches their internal story. A person who receives love not because they're visualizing, but because love no longer threatens the identity they once built for protection. Manifestation begins the moment you build an identity your future can recognize. Once your subconscious sees the new identity as safe, your mind stops fighting you. Your emotions stop pulling you backward. Your behaviors stop contradicting your intentions. And your desires no longer feel like distant dreams. They feel like the next logical step. There is a specific shift that starts this identity rewrite, and it's far smaller, simpler, and more powerful than anything you've tried before. It's the doorway into becoming the version of yourself your subconscious can finally follow. Most people try to transform their entire life at once. They attempt massive changes, dramatic rituals, huge leaps meant to force their reality to shift overnight. But your subconscious doesn't respond to dramatic leaps. It responds to small, repeatable proof that the identity you're stepping into is real. You don't reprogram the subconscious through intensity. You reprogram it through consistency, through signals, through tiny demonstrations that show your mind you are no longer the person your past taught you to be. Here is the shift. Take one action each day that your future self would take, even if it feels small, even if it feels insignificant, even if it feels too easy. That one action is not about progress. It's about identity. It tells your subconscious, this is who we are now. This level is safe. This reality matches us. This behavior belongs to our story. And once your subconscious begins to believe that, your external world shifts to match it. A future version of you doesn't make choices from fear, doesn't delay action, doesn't shrink to stay comfortable, doesn't cling to the familiar just because it's familiar. They move with clarity, with intention, with self-respect, with emotional alignment. And every small action you take from that identity moves you closer to becoming that future version of yourself. One boundary kept, one decision you avoid procrastinating, one moment where you choose calm over chaos, one step taken from truth instead of fear. It's not the size of the action that matters, it's the identity it affirms. Because when your subconscious starts to see that you are living as the person you've always said you wanted to be, it updates your internal settings to match that identity. And once identity shifts, manifestation no longer requires force. It becomes the natural expression of who you've become. This is where the techniques start working. This is where desire meets embodiment. This is where your future stops feeling distant and starts feeling inevitable. What comes next is the deeper realization. The moment you finally understand why identity-based manifestation is the only method that lasts. There is a moment in this journey when manifestation stops feeling like a struggle and starts feeling like truth. Not because your life changed overnight, but because you changed in small, subtle, powerful ways your subconscious could no longer ignore. You begin to notice it in the way you speak to yourself, in the way you make decisions, in the way you stop negotiating with old fears, in the way you catch yourself rising instead of retreating. You begin to feel the shift from wanting a new life to becoming the person who naturally lives one. And that is the moment most people never reach, not because they lack desire, but because they were taught the wrong path. They chased outcomes instead of identity. They repeated words their subconscious didn't believe. They visualized futures their nervous system didn't feel safe entering. But you're seeing something deeper now. You're seeing that manifestation isn't magic. It isn't luck. It isn't a technique you perform hoping the universe notices. Manifestation is alignment. The alignment between the life you want and the identity you bring into every room, every decision, every thought, every moment. When those two match, your reality shifts effortlessly. Opportunities appear not because you forced them, but because you finally became the version of yourself who is capable of receiving them. Abundance arrives not because you chased it, but because you stopped resisting it. Love deepens, not because you demanded it, but because you no longer push it away. Your life expands not because you performed rituals, but because you stepped into a story your subconscious could finally support. That is the real secret, the one you weren't taught, the one most people never discover, the one that explains exactly why a manifestation has felt impossible until now. Your desires were never too big. Your techniques were never the problem. You were simply building a future from an identity that wasn't built to hold it. But that identity is changing, quietly, powerfully, unmistakably. And as you continue aligning your actions, your expectations, and your energy with the person you are becoming, your future won't just manifest, it will meet you